happiness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
I so dig that song. You know, I so dig hearing that song. Hey, 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 it's another groovy day. That keys me up. And most of you know that's because I make it that way. When I get up in the morning, I already decide that it's a groovy day. And then whatever else happens, I just think back to when I started out and it all gets groovy again. And I deal with whatever situation. So that's how it works for me. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. Before we get started, as always, I like to get myself centered and situated and ready for some great information, some great thoughts and ideas. Let's just take a minute and think about what it is that you get power from. What is it that you tap into? It could be God, Allah, a meditation, the dude, the tree outside your house. What gives you that connection to the all, let's say? Let's take in a deep breath. And let that breath out just the ah, and allow your essence and that connection to just flow up through your heart center, out of your speaker box and out into the universe. And anchor that connection. Let's do that one more time. This time, think about those dreams, visions, and goals, those aspirations. What is it that you want to do, be, or have? Anchor those, taking a deep breath. And just let those flow with a big out of your speaker box, out into the universe. And for sure, here's the deal. Allow the universe to make those come true for you, to provide you the opportunities, and be alert for those opportunities as they come, because they will come. You just have to open your mind and keep an eye out, and they will come. What did I forget? Oh, hi, Jackie.
Todd, we're on radio. Welcome back.
Oh, I was off in La La Land there for a minute. How's
those
Jackie?
Hopes and dreams, right?
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. How's thing in Jackie Land at the Speak Feed Lead Org project? While I share, Jackie's gonna while I share the Facebook feed.
Well, things are ramping down. Well, they're slowing down and ramping up, I should say. So we are finishing up our 8-week school year courses and moving into our summer courses. And we are also going to be offering a workshop for a parent and a child, or an aunt, uncle and a child, or a guardian and a teenager, whoever it might be. It's going to be 3 days, 90 minutes each day of just fun with communication, improvisation workshop. We're going to be doing some competitions with the other partners that are there. And it'll just be a fun time for you and your child, teenager, young adult to get reacquainted. It's funny how so many parents, even though they've been sort of locked down with their families and their kids, they've all been so stressed and all have this survival mindset that they've really lost connection with each other. As odd as that is, but it's true. And so many parents have said, can you have a workshop that both my child and I can go to? So that's what we're doing.
I thought it was really cool. Last week, our guest wanted to do something with her niece.
That's
and
right.
I thought, wow. I mean, they don't live in the same place, but yet here on a regular basis, they can connect and go through some exercises and learn together. So I thought that was really pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And then you're right. We can bring partners together from all over the world. I mean, you don't even have to live in the same place with the person, with the child that you're going to be with. You could, be in Montreal, for instance, and this child that your grandchild could be in LA. I mean, who knows? And you still get that opportunity. So it's going to be a great opportunity to reconnect and get to know each other better.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant model. Very, very, very good.
Fun.
I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer. And any links that we talk about, you can find right there on today's show page. A little bit later on in the week, Jackie will post a blog post about what she gleaned from the show, what she picked up on. And it's really, really cool. She does a great job. Sometimes I wonder, how did she get that out of the show? But it works. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter. Jackie writes a newsletter once a week, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and of course, her blog post. Both Jackie and I are authors as well. So check out our books.
Yay.
The links are right there, right to Amazon. She wrote that book, and then I thought, if she could do that, I could do that.
Copycat.
I know. And I put the fear in my pocket and stepped out there. And boy, we're going to talk about this today, but I let it all out. And even my kids came up to me, Dad, how can you write about it? How can you tell people about it? It's just me. That's just it. That's my journey and 6 keys to life mastery.
My daughter came to me and she said, Mom, there's all these people reading your book and I feel like they know you better than I do. I'm like,
I know.
you got to read the book.
And sometimes you get a question or somebody will say something and they'll say, it was in your book. And it's like, oh yeah, maybe I should go back and read that chapter or something.
Right. Yep.
Okay, I think we're done with house cleaning and talking about all things life mastery. Jackie, are you ready to introduce our guest?
Yes, I am. I'm actually very delighted and excited and ignited to introduce our guest today. And his name is Michael Challenger, which is an awesome name all in itself. You got to be awesome if you're going to have a name like Michael Challenger.
Yeah, for sure.
He is the CEO and founder of Optimal Living Summit. He's a best-selling author of Don't Let Fear Paralyze You, and a certified life coach and creator of the No Fear online program. And that's just a few things that he's done. All right. He's a professional in theater, dance, film, and television. He's performed in Broadway musicals, including Chicago, The Lion King, and The Producers. If you haven't heard of those, you are nobody, right? Michael is the owner, executive producer, and creative director of ANU Entertainment. That's ANU Entertainment. His film work includes Where Do We Go From Here, which won the Best Shorts Video or Film, and the Award of Excellence and Best Director at the Best Shorts Competition in 2013. And we're not talking Bermuda shorts. We're actually talking, movies. Michael also heads up the Challenger Foundation, leading through inclusion. Diversity acts as a catalyst to dispel ignorance, fear, and creates a space for equity and excellence. Are you getting the idea that he's a pretty awesome guy? So
overachiever, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And we are proud to have overachievers on our show. So please welcome Michael Challenger. Yeah.
So awesome to be here, guys.
To have you with us.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Honestly, thank you for the intro. And when I hear all of the things when you decided, I'm tired. Actually, just I'm like, oh my God, that's right. That's what, that happened actually.
So right out of the gate, Michael, we've got to answer the posing question. I know that all of our listeners out there are asking, what's that shirt all about? So can you?
Oh yeah. So this shirt actually is a reminder for myself and for all of you. I love acronyms. So one of my best of friends and I, we have these really interesting conversations. And one day, talking about life, and we were just like, you know what? And we came up with this concept. It's called D.O.U.L. So the acronym D.O.U.L, what it stands for is disconnect, observe, unconditional love. I actually talk about this in my program so that people can actually use it when they're in a time where they're feeling stressed or they need to get through something. So the disconnect really about, most of us are reactionary. So we can get ourselves out of trouble without being reactionary in the moment and actually taking time to just observe the situation and reflect on what it is that we need to do or make the best decision in that moment. So there's the observation, and the unconditional love always starts with self first. So giving yourself the unconditional love and then giving it to everybody else around you so that all is well in the end. Love being the highest frequency, we know it can do amazing things. So yeah,
that's really cool. I had one of those that I developed. Let me see if I can remember. It was now, stay in the now, pay attention to what's going around you, tell the truth. Sometimes that's hard to do, especially if you have little kids and you're dealing with the Santa Claus era.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the wife asks you, does this dress look okay? It's kind of right.
You never answer that question.
No, never. But
Todd,
if you're going to practice telling the truth, it's just part of it. So now pay attention, tell the truth, and detach from outcomes. That was one that I worked with, and it's just ingrained in me. It's a part of me. So that I know the concept that you're working with there, and I think it's really, really cool. So I'm going to have to remember, because it is about awareness, right? And so that helps you remember, wait a sec, I gotta stop and think about this for a minute. How am I showing up?
I think that's where I've been able to navigate through life, is because of the level of awareness, right? Because there's any time that I've been in situations where sometimes it feels good or it looks good to others, the moment when you get aware and you realize, is this actually fitted for my own self? Then that's when things really change. So that level of awareness and being able to be just open to the idea that maybe this isn't for me. There's a lot of surprises at the end of the tunnel. So
or when we react to, right, like, we're humans, and things will trigger us or pop us off, or I like to call it popping out of gear, right? But something like that acronym can just stop you because it's part of it, and just wait a second, is this how I want to show up?
100%, and it really stops me in my tracks. So it was really one of the most powerful, and of course there's so many out there, but it was just one of those things where I was like, yes, this felt like it was deep enough for me to really get myself out of any situation and be in that space of really love, you guys, like just to not get into that space of anger. We all experience anger, we all experience those feelings, but just to be aware. So yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And I'm certain that this has a correlation to fear, which is not only the title of your book, it's the title of your program. And fear is such a strong emotion that everyone relates to. So since you've written a book about it, I can only assume that there's some story there. Why don't you, if you wouldn't mind, as we start the show, provide a foundation of what is it that caused you to write a book with such a strong emotion attached to it?
Well, I think that, again, just kind of reflecting on even the biography and kind of some of the things that I've wanted to achieve, I quickly understood that I was paralyzed by fear in so many areas of my life. And that was, we talk about it a lot in many when it comes down to just self-development, the being unconsciously competent. I was unconscious in many ways of I was really good at following directions when it came down to doing things for people. I come from the world of the performing arts. So when I was working with the director, when I was working with anybody ready project, I was really good at execution. But when it came down to really doing the things that I wanted to do and achieve in my life, I was scared of it all. And I was afraid to talk about things that really meant something to me. Right. Or speaking to people that I wanted to really, deal with or do things with. And so when I understood how paralyzed I was in life, I took the initiative and I challenged my own life, my own self to look at it, study it, and help others around the topic. So prior to it all, obviously it led up to fear. I was before I got to actually writing the book, I had a series of experiences that got me to this place where I was done. I was done with the Jackie. I was done with not feeling like I was living my best life. that's why I feel like I'm here. I think that's why we're all here. But some of us choose, it's great to be comfortable and to like just kind of coast in life. But I was like, I do not want to live my entire life, or in this lifetime, just kind of scratching the surface. And at a very young age, I started traveling. At the age of 17, I got a gig in Italy. This is like pre, like internet, the whole thing. I got this gig, and when it opened my eyes to what kind of life that one could live, and that's when really the journey started.
So have you always had this drive to perform? Even in your
no, not at all. So it was all nothing's by accident, but it really kind of just happened. So as a kid, really, really active guy. Like I loved sports when I was a kid growing up. My family, a lot of the guys were in sports and whatnot. So I did everything, you name it, I did it. But there was once upon a time, there was a trio on stage that I saw. They were doing this performance, and I was like, what is, like, I like it, right? Never thought I wanted to perform. Never thought I wanted to be on stage. It was never a thing for me. You would ask me like, Michael, do you want to be an actor? I'd be like, no, that's not my thing. Because I was afraid to be like, literally use my voice. So forget about trying to perform on stage. But it ended up somebody in my high school who actually, she was a part of this academy and this, the performing arts school was like, I think you would do really good at this. And so she invited me. And I was, even at that age, at a very young age, my ego took place. I was like 12 when it happened. And I was like, I'm not going to performing arts school. What are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. Like, I was like, I just wanted to do it for fun. And so like the boy in me was like, I'm like, what am I going to go around these girls? And like, what are they going to wear a tutu? Like, I just had all of these prejudgments at a very young age. And I was like, nobody told me no. Nobody had any judgment. I just created this like experience in my own head.
Cool.
But when I got there, and I met this awesome teacher who, like anybody who's experienced working with, his name is Michael as well. And he was like this kickboxing coach who was, but he was an instructor. And he was like, let's do this. And he was just really intense. And so I was like, I love his energy. I love what he had to do. So I was this like eager kid at 12 years old who would take the bus an hour there, an hour back, twice a week, obsessed with wanting to perform. It just became a thing. And in that school, I had a woman who basically came in, she was scouting, she was looking for talent for like, music videos and shows and whatnot. So she came in, she chose myself and 2 other people. And she told my mother, she said, if Michael sticks around with me, he'll do really good in the industry. So that's how it all happened. And it was one of those things that I could, I don't know I could never recreate it. It just, all of it was like synchronistic. And it just like things started to just move, and I was in competitions, and I was in music videos. So I just became like, people were like, what are you doing now? Where are you going? And the whole Italy thing happened because I was in a fashion show, and a woman was, she was the choreographer, but she was connected to so many other things. She just said to me, Michael, you know what? Why don't you come to Italy? We've got a job for you up there. So that's how the overseas thing really kind of started. And it led up to it with doing a lot of cool work with some pretty talented people.
I know you were talking about Italy, and I went there, and I was just sitting in the park watching these young people, and my revelation was these kids are playing in and around buildings that are over 500 years old.
Right.
And I was just like, look at this culture. This has been here forever. And I go back home, and these houses are less than 100 years old. And it just really gave me a different perspective. I don't know if that was your experience or part of it, but it was truly eye-opening.
Yeah, I just, what I love, Todd, I think for me, it was really how I was embraced. So, I was 17 when I got the contract, and it was my first time going overseas. And so everybody was like, ciao, come stai, Michael, how are you? Welcome, come in. And I was like, and in my mind, I was like, I want to communicate with you. There's so much passion. And I mean, of course, the food is incredible. And everybody was it was just like phenomenal memories where we were staying. But it was the architecture, it was the history that was mind blowing. And so I absolutely loved it. And so I started in the north part of it. I stayed in a place called Genoa. And so I started in the north, and then we kind of, we rehearsed in the north, and then I went down south, and we, started to visit other places. But it was incredible to be surrounded with such culture. with such and passion and love.
Yeah.
And so, and I grew up with a lot of Italians growing up in school, like a lot. And so we always, they're always like, how are you going to Italy before me? Like, it's crazy. So it was, would send like postcards to everybody, and they were like super jealous. So it was really amazing. Yeah.
And were you
Cool.
performing in a play at the time, or you were doing a video or a dance?
No,
What were you doing?
so that contract was actually, I was working for a company called Costa Riviera, so it was a cruise line. And so yeah, it was a series of different shows that we actually that I had to do. And it was in between school, so I was literally, I got off one semester, I had to finish my school, get in, you know, fly to Italy, you know, do the contract, come back. It was yeah, my life was very exciting in high school and in college. Like I was all over the place. Yeah.
Travel.
But yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, but that was the eye opener for me, because obviously traveling, as you know, it's educational in itself. And so I learned so much about what one can do. And so, you know, really at the end of the day, it was just like, can somebody sign me up for the next gig like this? Because this is amazing, and I'm getting paid to travel. So that's what happened after my experience in Italy. I just started literally traveling different parts of the world and getting paid to do it, which is pretty cool.
You saw the opportunity. And I think it's interesting that the opportunity came because someone else saw something in you
Yeah.
that you
I did not
necessarily see.
I did not see it in myself. I did not think that I could ever do half of the things that I did. And to be honest with you, again, at a very young age, you know, I'm really grateful that they did see that in me, because if I allowed the fear to get in or to step in, I would have never done any of those things.
So without your knowledge of fear, what were some of the things that you did to help you deal with that fear? Could you remember some of those before you got really passionate about fear and had this great understanding of how it works with us? What were some of the key things that maybe you put into place that you didn't realize you were putting into place?
It's a great question, Todd. I think it was, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I think that the fact that there was just pressure to be, I was really fortunate, really fortunate. Like, of course I did my job and I worked really hard. I was one of the things, I always made myself really accountable and easygoing when it came to work. Like it was one of the things, and I think nobody wants to work with a jerk, right? So I was like, if these opportunities are opening up, I just want to be really kind. I want to do my gig and experience new things. So I think the pressure was like, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. And when I started to have more choices, that's when the fear started to really kick in.
Right.
Because it was coming from taking full responsibility of the things that I wanted to do. So it's not that I didn't want to do some of those things. And I was, again, in the world of self-development, we all talk about mindset and it's like, okay, what isn't what you want? But most people, unfortunately, specifically when you're in that world, you don't know what you want. You just want to survive. You just want to work, right? So to be really specific in many ways, people were like, I remember actually being very clear about, like I wanted to do Lion King, and I wanted to do Chicago, and I was very specific. Like after I saw Chicago was actually one of the first Broadway shows that I saw, and after I saw that show, I was like, I want to be in the show. And when you say it out loud, people are like, "Oh,
Yeah, that's nice, little boy."
That's
nice.
That's a key part of manifesting, though, is to state it and to demand it. And this is what I'm going to do. It's crucial.
It's crucial, and it's unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
But when you are not in the because I learned about self-development, I learned about it became a thing. But prior to that, here's the deal. When I was a kid, I thought I had a superpower. And I'm not joking. Like when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I thought in my mind that I had a superpower, because my mother told me that one day she was like, I can't afford board games right now. Like I grew up with a single mother, and she basically was like, I just can't afford the things that you want. And I remember saying, like, I want these board games, I want this. And a teacher who was a substitute teacher who fell in love with me started giving me these like board games on the side. And she told me, don't tell anybody. And I'm telling you, I can promise you, I thought, I'm not telling anybody about this, but like something that I'm doing in here is making it happen. And I'm
Yeah.
not
Wow.
like, you're like, it was incredible. Like my friends know about this, but I thought I had this thing. I thought I was like, I, I can get it. How do I don't know
I
what I'm
make
doing,
things
but
happen.
yeah,
I'm
it
a
was the cool.
manifester.
Yeah, right. Like who knew what that meant? But it was
Right.
really cool to see it come into fruition. So it was something that
That's
I
amazing.
kind of always knew. I just didn't know what was going on.
So
A
how does
little
someone,
wizard is born.
yeah. So how does
Right.
someone then with this
Yeah.
ability to manifest what they want, how do they also battle fear?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's an interesting dichotomy.
it is, because I think that the biggest thing when it comes to battling fear, and what I tell people and how to like melt it off of you in many ways, it's about intention. And it's about when you are truly clear about what you want and about your intention. And if it means enough for you to work on it, you know, every day, almost all day, without taking breaks, obviously, respecting self, but knowing that this is what is truly meant for me, then nothing can stop you and the fear will subside.
Hmm.
Right.
You know,
But
I
yeah.
go ahead. No, finish your thought.
No, it's just it's important, because I think that even in the world of coaching and speaking to people constantly, it's not strong enough. In acting, one of the things that a lot of coaches will say, like, it's not a hot enough choice. What are you saying to this character? It's not hot enough. Make it hot. Like it has to be hotter. Let's go. So it's always so that I think it's whether it's acting or real life, like what's that choice? And if it doesn't really ring true, and if you feel like, well, yeah, I can only do it on Sundays because that's all I got time for, then it's like, then it's not hot enough and it's not good enough for you. And you will not achieve those goals because you don't care about it enough. So you got to care about it enough in order for you to really get the results that you seek. And it takes a hell of a lot of work. Like, it's really fun that I get to talk about some of these stories now, looking back at, like, worked in some pretty cool shows and I worked with some amazing people. But the work ethic that is entailed with what the type of goals that one wants to achieve, it's a lot of resilience and consistency, right? So I
Regimentation.
make, right. And yeah. So it's that's, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's easy to look at the glamorous life
Oh
that
yeah.
celebrities live, but it's really sometimes not easy to comprehend
It's a lot of work,
the work that has
and
gone into that
yeah.
to get
It's
there.
yeah, and in bold choices, I think that that's one of the biggest things as well for me was, as time progressed, action cancels fear. And
Mm.
so most of us, when we actually take the action in things that we don't necessarily were comfortable in, again, it's like when you get there, you're like, it's not that bad. Actually, not that bad. But if it's something that you're passionate about, then it doesn't even feel like work. And that's the thing that I love about this, is that the transitions that I made in my career ended up becoming so natural that it didn't feel like work. So and I've always felt like in my work, so whether it was on stage, whether it was film, whatever it is that I was doing, I've always been this way with people. Like I've always been from a child of being, I remember like on 9 years old, speaking to a friend who suffered with bulimia and anorexia. And I was like, no, like, you're amazing, you're beautiful, like you can do this. And like,
You've got that
as a
natural
child,
ability.
like that, right, Todd? So it was like, that was who I was. But you're just like, that's who I am. But then as time goes on and the type of stories I want to tell, or the type of people that I want to talk to, and what I write about, this is the authentic part of Michael. So being in self-development, being in life coaching, like this is where I feel the most fulfilled, because it's fulfilling my true mission. Right?
You said some really key words, and that was choice. I was listening to an interview you did just a couple of days ago. I think it was on June 8th, and you were in a discussion. I think it was the Real Man Show or something like that.
Yes.
And he said something that really keyed off for me. It was, when fear pops up into my life, that's when I know I need to move toward it. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And so when I feel afraid about something or that I'm going to do, that's how I know that awareness thing again, and the choice, that's how I know I need to do it.
100%. And
Wow.
that's the real key to knowing that you care about it enough, which is why you're freaking out. Right?
Or your passion, that passion.
Or your passion, exactly, right? When you start to, I guess I'll use my world of like when the curtain opens and you're about to tell that story, you're like, here we go. It's a journey, but it's because you care enough. And so, but we're trained, and I think again, fear is designed, as human beings, it's there to protect us as well, right? So fear is not bad in many ways. It gives us the heightened ability to know when if we're sensing danger or something is actually uncomfortable. It's there to protect, but we can't get it, confused with the notion of going after bigger and greater things. And
it's interesting. It's interesting. You talked about the curtain. Both Jackie and I are public speakers, and we've worked our way up to the top in the Toastmasters organization. And there's always that fear of stepping on the stage. But once the curtain opens, you're in the groove, man. It don't matter. There is nowhere to run to, right? You are there, and we always have a blast and make the best of it. And that takes practice, of course, and
So
an
much-
understanding of you're here to do a job and to relay a message.
Well, right, as you know, Todd and Jackie, one of the number one fears is public speaking. And so I suffer with that for so many years. I have to work on it constantly because the feeling, I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, either one of you, but when it was time to open my mouth, everything just became really cloudy. Nothing made sense. And things started to slow down, and I couldn't catch up to my thoughts. And it was so bad. I remember my first book report as well, and it was that moment of, I'm never doing this again. I'm never, ever, ever going to stand in front of people and have to talk about it. Like, I'd rather get the F on my report card because I'm not going to ever want to do this again. So it's so many people do that, and you have to willingly, like, Toastmasters. I went to Toastmasters as well.
Oh,
like,
right on.
I did. It was really, it's life-changing. I think that if anybody really wants to take it to the next level, that's where to go. But if you don't practice, you can go to Toastmasters, but if you don't practice it can get really rusty and go back to where you started. So it's the ongoing practice and your intention, coming right back down to, why do you want to go to Toastmasters and what do you have to say? And if you have something to say, then it makes the world of difference.
Well, or just gaining confidence. The organization has a magnificent, magical ability of instilling that confidence in people that lack it. And
but there's usually a reason. Most people are like, I'm a manager at my work and I want to be able to speak to my employees. But there's always a reason why people are like, I want to exercise this tool. The most powerful thing that we can use is our voice. So it's
right.
Right, if we can use that and create an effect, then it's pretty awesome.
Well, I think the key there that keeps you, when Todd mentioned the curtain opens and you're in your groove, well, that can really only happen if you're prepared.
Yeah,
for that
that's
moment,
true.
right? If you haven't prepared or you've been placed on this stage without that preparation, it can be paralyzing, as you say.
Been there, done that.
About
Got the t-shirt.
Cloudiness, right? And so so I think it's the practice certainly is a big part of it, but it's the preparation that I think part of what you're saying, Michael, and maybe not as many words as I might use here, and then not as eloquently, is to say that every opportunity we have is a curtain going up, right? And if we take the opportunity, we're going to shine. If we look at the fear and say, I'm not going to let this keep me from this opportunity, but I'm going to embrace it and run with it, that's really where things happen for you, right? Even if there's these little small inward doubts, as long as you face them, identify them, but every moment in life is preparing you for the next moment, right? And so if we're seeing life that way, when that curtain opens, we just go, hey, this is the next moment.
Absolutely.
So what I wanted to ask you is if you have felt connected to any particular character that you've played, or if you have met a particular person in the industry that has really catapulted for you new ideas, or that you can use as an example of things that you've been able to overcome because you have that person to look to. So maybe either way, either a character you've played or someone that you've met.
That's an incredible, I think, okay. One of the experiences that I know that that really opened my eyes was when I was working on Dancing with the Stars. There, the timeline when we have to behind the scenes, basically, you're placed with here's the behind the scenes. You're placed with somebody to work with them in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to airing it, like, it looks like we've been the best of friends for 2 weeks or 2 months. Right. So we have this short amount of time. So we go into the studio and they're like, okay, Michael, here is so and so, and we're gonna work together. And you're like, okay, this is amazing. And then the camera's on. And then all this, so I remember for starting the show going, I'm trying to get into my groove. But the person I was working with, most of them, every single one was like ready. Like the camera was turned on, and it was like, whatever it is that whoever they are, whatever their brand or whoever they are as a person, like they were ready to perform, and they were like so well
Conditioned.
Yeah, maybe conditioned, Todd, like that they were just ready to go. And I don't know, that blew my mind. Like I was always like, that's an incredible skill to have when you're just, you can, like when you're in the mode, do what you have to do. Like, so when we were like learning the steps, or when I was teaching, they'd be like, okay, like they were super serious. I mean, some of them were crying, some of them were like, they were like, Michael, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't think I'm gonna be ready. But as soon as the camera went on, the star came out.
Yeah.
And I was amazed with how quickly and what we can do as humans when we are, you do your best, you put in what you can, and then, but when that curtain opens, go for it. And it ends up being, amazing in the end. So I don't know, Jackie, like, I don't know, that experience for me was an eye opener of how amazing we are. And it just kept happening with different people. I just kept seeing them, like how the fear would take over, and that there was at least 2 or 3 people who told me they didn't want to do it anymore. And I had to, and I had to, like, that was part of our training as to reassure them, because it's like, we don't got a choice here. But I really had to, like, it's okay, and create things and steps and the illusion around them to make it so that it looked spectacular and that they felt safe.
Right.
And so that was I don't know, there was something really amazing about that, like, just that whole experience. That was
what comes to my mind is failing forward. Just fail forward.
Yeah. And that there were moments, because it was live, so we did have moments where people obviously failed on stage, and that was okay too. I mean, that was part of the challenge. Like, it was like, the whole point is, we don't want you really to be perfect, because that's why the competition actually becomes more interesting.
Right.
But as we're conditioned where you have your people, your followers looking at you, you don't want to screw that up. So but like, so being beside them and being that level of confidence and reassurance was really amazing to just know, like, I'm here for you. And yeah.
So the preface of the show, for maybe those who don't know it, is Dancing with the Stars is where celebrities from different genres, it could be sports, it could be entertainment, it could be theater, it could be movies or whatever, they come in. They're not professional dancers, but they come in to be part of this competition that happens over several weeks in a season, and they're paired up with a professional dancer that teaches them these particular steps, types of dances, and they perform this with in a competition each show, right? And either you get enough points to stay, or you don't get enough points and you have to be let go, right? So that's kind of the premise of the show.
That's the premise, and it's really and it's interesting because everyone is so different, and it's incredible to see how when pressure is put upon us, what we can do. And that's what I love too. It was to see it's to see those end results about how people, like, how you push through the fear. So every single person experienced fear.
But that's
What
the,
what is
that's
your
the
best
example of
advice?
life. I was
Oh,
gonna say
sorry, say that again.
that's an example of life right there. Is that
That's an
we are,
example right there.
yeah,
Exactly.
is that we are given these opportunities to do something beyond what we think we can do.
Totally.
And we either take it or we say, or we
It's
run
choice.
from it. But if you take it, then you've got to work toward the preparedness to be ready for that curtain to go up, right?
Yeah,
So that's what we
exactly.
talk about.
And that could be for anything. And that's why
Yeah.
fear is so incredible, because it really applies to everyone. And when we decide, again, coming back down to what Todd was saying earlier on, that choice, when we choose, when you're specific and you're clear about it, then it doesn't matter even if you do fail, because there's a lesson that's being learned in the failure itself. So you gain so much from the actual experience, and that's what I love about it. And that's why I'm still here doing what I want to do, even though within the performing arts, it wasn't, because it all kind of happened and I navigated through it and I said, okay, this is cool. And I guess I'm an actor. I guess I'm a, I guess as time went on, people would be like, you're an artist. And I'd be like, yeah, I guess so. Like, it's cool. It just became a thing because, I was getting paid as a kid and I was getting these gigs, but I wasn't even sure if that's what I really wanted to do. And so as time progressed, it just was, these life experiences and these incredible platforms that I got to train on really helped me learn how to navigate and live life, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
So what brought you to the passion of helping others? Because you're a coach, you're a life coach
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
you coach people over fear. So
Yeah.
when did that click in? When did that switch flip?
I think it flipped for me when I was living in Los Angeles, and I just I went to film studies. I went to Universal Studios, and I was really focused on creating conscious films that were to get people to really think. That's always been like, of course, entertainment is something that I've always loved, but there's the deeper meaning as to like, why are you watching this? And the drama or the story, the storyline is really what I've always fought for. So when I decided to go into that world, and I realized, okay, this is where I want to go. Again, this has been navigating through life and feeling like this is where I want to be. Everything, Todd, in that moment hit me, where I realized that this is still, like, even though it felt good, I don't feel 100% fulfilled in this particular arena. So the discovery, it's kind of amazing, because you're like, how does this keep changing for you? And it's never been about abandoning anything, or it's just been like listening. And that's all I've ever done, is listen to my heart and go like, what makes sense to you? And it's not easy to do it, but it's extraordinary when we do. So when I decided that I wanted to look at myself and actually really kind of look at myself in the mirror and like really listen, that's where life coach and kind of entering the space really took shape. So I wrote the book based off of that. It was me about looking at not doing the things that I really want to be doing. Let's just do this from a theoretic standpoint for me to heal my own life. And then it became a book, and it became a thing, and it became something that I studied and worked and spoke to with people, that it wasn't just for me, it was for others. So when I incorporated faith, I'm big on meditating. I'm big on just listening to to the truth. When I started to do that work and fuse the writing, it just ended up becoming a book, and it ended up becoming like Optimal Living Summit ended up happening. So it's just like, it was like this each step just kept unfolding, and I went, nope, this is it. This is where I want to go. So the summit, Optimal Living Summit, the summit part is really, it's climbing that mountain, and like never giving up to really, just paying attention to what does one really want in life. So it can change. You could start somewhere and know that actually it's not really for me. So that's how that all happened.
So how do people find out about your programs?
So it's very easy. So if people want to learn more, they can go to my website. So it's www.michaelchallenger.com. And on the homepage, they can get the program there. So everything's there. And if they just want to get started to kind of understand, the type of mindset that I talk about, there's a thing called the Mini Success Workbook, and they can download that. It's for free. And it's 3 pages, Jackie, of just understanding what it means to push through the fear. understanding what one needs to do to just kind of get the ball rolling. So that's one of the ways they can start with me.
What's
Awesome.
your best advice for pushing through it? Putting the fear, what's the first thing that comes to your mind to tell people when they're standing in fear and you want them to just put it in their pocket and take that step?
Just take action. Take action. Take the action and move in the direction of where you want to be. And by doing that, you will solve so much negativity, assumptions, all of the things that you feel like, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and I don't know, and I can't figure, oh, where's my life? It's crazy, right? Forget all the stuff that's happening and the noise, move towards it, and you will see that the fear will take care of itself.
Very cool.
That is.
And you wrote a book. You probably have a copy of it handy. Let's see that book.
I do. So it's Don't Let Fear Paralyze You. So if you guys check it out, you can go to Amazon, Amazon.com. You can download your copy there. And the book is really, I'm not just talking at the readers. It's very interactive. So there's areas where you can really start to just, again, think. I love challenging people to think. And not just be spoken to, right? It's really about coming back down to responsibility and owning your own life. So yeah.
So I'm assuming this is for everybody to read, but is there a particular type of person that will get real benefit? I mean, is it entrepreneurs? Is it people that are looking for something new, or is it people that are in the midst of creating themselves? Who's really the person that needs this the most?
Yeah, I think the demographic for it's for people who are ready to make just changes in their life that are going to better themselves. If they're seeking happiness, Jackie, if they want to actually feel fulfilled about who they are, what they're doing, this is the book for them, right? This is really about, just because it's not obviously fear is not niche by any means. It's really about just getting clear and centered. And that's kind of where I came from. My own self journey was like, because I was able to overcome so many limiting beliefs in my own self, it just felt natural for me to share the information so that people can do the same.
How about young people?
Can they
benefit from this?
Oh, are you kidding me? Like, so many young people. I coach actually, it's funny because I coach one of my clients. I coach a 10-year-old, and her mom, she read the book, and I coach both of them now. But she just said, I want my daughter to read this book because it's really going to help her. And so what she's been, like, 10 years old, like, it's amazing when they get the information, when they read it and they apply it. Our connection is unbelievable, and the things she's doing now is incredible. So absolutely, this is geared to young people as well.
I'm sure Jackie can relate totally with the kids that she works with public speaking, finding their voice and speaking it.
Absolutely. Yep. That's very, very fear driven for them. Is I don't want to say anything. I don't want to speak up. Don't call on me. And it's amazing, though, the transformation that takes place with just a little bit of training, helping them to understand that they do have something to say. It ignites in them something very strong. And so, Michael, what's next for you? What are you doing next?
Well, you know what? Here's what's next. So I just came to Montreal yesterday, and this is an incredible space for me to be, because I am developing just a lot of social media things. There's a lot of social media projects that I'm working on, but there's online events that are coming this year in the fall. So I'm actually going to be working with a number of different motivational speakers, and we will be doing an event called Tackling Limiting Beliefs. Ooh. And so it's something that, I'd love to share it with you guys, but there's going to be a lineup of people that are going to help, just individuals step out and be their real self.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Did I see Les Brown was one of them?
So Les is like, I'm not yet, but
tell him Todd sent you.
Okay, no,
I worked with Les Brown many years ago. He's a cool guy. He's a brother from another mother, man. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's an incredible individual, and so, but it's going to be that style where we get people to, cool things to you guys. I come from production, so a lot of the fear-based kind of experiences, we're going to get people out of it, and really
Yeah.
start to, because that's the beauty about this, when you create and you get to showcase some of the people that have experienced some of the work, just what, the regular person, doesn't have to be anybody fancy, doesn't have to be anybody from the theater. It's like, that's just my story. But when you look at it and face it, wow, what a life one can live. So
Well,
yes.
what a life-changing event, and especially when you begin to practice what you're teaching and what you're talking about. And I'm listening to you, Michael, and it's not that complicated, right? But yet it's so hard to do.
It's so well, and you know what, Todd, it's so hard to do because we're so worried about everybody else.
Yeah, what does that person think, or what are they going to say, or
right, what are they going to say? What are they going to say if I make this change? Who they're going to, who am I to like make any impact in the world? So all of these, these things would stop us from actually, kind of like when you started the interview, right? And just saying, hey, I'm going to write a book too, right? If Jackie can do it, I can do it. It's a beautiful thing because, we all have that. There's always this limiting belief, like thinking that, can I do that too? And absolutely you can. So I think the problem is that we just don't know how. And once we understand the how, then things become a lot easier.
yeah.
Well, and life can really, like I say, bring out those limiting beliefs. Because we had a guest a couple weeks ago that was saying that when we have a limiting belief, then we spend our whole life looking for evidence that it's true.
It's
right.
true.
And so every opportunity that comes our way is either going to feed that limiting belief or it's going to butt up against it. And we get to make that choice. But many times we're lazy and we just say, yeah, I can't do that because I'm da 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 da, or that's not possible because I can't do da 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 da. Instead of saying,
and you're right.
I'll try. I'll give it a shot and do my best.
Yeah, you're right, Jackie. And I think there's many, in many ways, there was many things in society that taught the man who looks like me, based off of some of the things that I experienced at a very young age, would have never experienced. Right. So, even as time progressed, I've had many experiences where it's like, Michael, you should do this because you look this way. You should be this way. This is the type of life that you should live. And it's amazing. And this is why I love being the proof of all of those, stigmas or all the things that people told me that I couldn't be doing, I did. So it's, it's wonderful. I love it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my friends, my good friends, my newfound good friends. We only have about 3 minutes left. And Michael, thank you so much for showing up as you today. This was a great discussion. I hope you'll come back because I think there's a lot more that we could talk about.
I would love to, honestly, anything to support when it comes down to, getting people to just, unfold and be and, live authentically. I'm down, Todd. So you count me in.
Did I meet your expectation? Did you have a blast today?
No, I think you met my expectation, Todd. I think that we covered everything. I just feel good that I'm in the room and everything. No, it's all good.
It's very cool. You have great energy and you're going places, dude. I can feel it in my
He's been
bones.
places.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks, Jack. No, but you know what? I feel excited about life, honestly, and it's cool to share, right?
Yeah, that energy is infectious too, and that's probably why you have a huge success in working with other people. Jackie, any takeaways? What did you get from today?
Oh gosh, you know what, Michael? I just admire you. You are who I want to be when I grow up, essentially. I mean, I've worked my whole life to get the mindset that you've been able to develop in yourself, and I'm trying to help my young students to develop the same mindset. And so I appreciate all the work you're putting out there in the world and the example that you are. Thank you.
Thank you. And however I can help your students, just let me know.
Very cool insight, Jackie.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll call you.
I know. I'm here. No, I'm here. And if I can support them, absolutely. So yes.
That's very cool. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that you would tell your friends how much you enjoyed the show. We are live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Jackie and I have a blast. We have cool people just like today. We have some really cool guests that are on the cutting edge of their own becoming and teaching other people how to do it too. Lastly, please please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. And choose to check out Michael's website, www.lifemasteryradio.net. The link will be right there. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.